Hello, this is Donna with Yoga for You, and I'm back again. It seems like it's been a really long time with the holidays, and then we had New Year's. I got really behind at making any videos, and then my husband and I got COVID. So luckily, with much gratitude, I'm happy to say that neither one of us needed to be hospitalized. But we were kind of down for a couple weeks. Of course, we quarantined, we stayed in the house. There were only a couple really bad days that, I felt really sick. But now it's been a couple weeks since I've been back out again, been back to teaching. But the one thing that I have noticed is that I fatigue easier. I always feel a little bit tired after teaching or doing whatever we might be doing, running errands. So I know a lot of you out there have probably had COVID, or you might have had some other illness. It might have been a seasonal cold, or it could have been the flu. I hope you're feeling well, but I thought we would start out with a really easy practice, a gentle practice, kind of returning from COVID or any other illness that you may have had. So join me for the slow, easy practice as we get back to movement and stretching those tight couch muscles. All right, so let's go ahead and lie down onto our backs. And as you come onto your back, you're welcome to extend the legs if you like, but otherwise, keep the knees bent, feet on the floor, and walk your feet a little bit wider, allowing the inner knees to drop together. So hopefully this feels really relaxing for the lower back. Rest your palms on your lower belly. Make sure you relax the shoulders. Find a softness beneath the palms in your belly as the eyes close. And we just begin to tune in to our own body, to our breath here. Just begin by bringing an awareness to your breath. Notice how you're breathing right now in this moment. Do your breaths feel full and deep, or do you feel a little bit shallow? If you haven't been feeling well, oftentimes our breath does become more shallow. So invite this deeper diaphragmatic breath in. Feel the belly gently rise with the inhale and gently drop with the exhale. With this diaphragmatic breath, there's very little movement in the chest. If you've watched my past videos, you'll be aware that this diaphragmatic breath is a direct connection to our parasympathetic nervous response. And that's where we want to be. We want to be relaxed. We want to remain calm. So this can help a lot, especially if you haven't been feeling well. Take one more round of breath together from here. Exhaling out. And then release those hands down by your hips. Heel toe the feet back together. And then draw those knees into the chest. Flex your feet. So we're drawing energetic action into the posture. And let's just slowly start to rock a little, just to invite some movement. Now, if you've been sitting on the couch for a long periods of time, maybe binge watching Netflix or something, because you haven't felt well enough to do anything else, we're going to feel tired. We need some nice movement. And then as you come back to neutral, bring your arms out, palms down if possible to root. Keep the feet flexed, and let's start to take a little bit greater range of motion. So we're dropping the knees a little further side to side. Be mindful of how this affects the sensation in your lower back, the lumbar spine. Does it feel okay for you? If it doesn't, take less range of motion. Otherwise, if it's feeling good, you can increase the degree of that twist from side to side. So we're warming up the spine, we're warming up the abdominal muscles, we're really targeting some of these oblique muscles that run down the sides of the torso. Let's just do a couple more here. And now the next time both knees roll towards the right, let's just let them settle. Now, if you notice that your left shoulder will not stay down, it pops up away from the floor, bring your left hand to your waist so that you're not putting undue tension on that left shoulder. Otherwise, that left arm can reach out. You can even drop your gaze the opposite direction of your feet. Find the breath here in this twist. Take one more round of breath here. We're still breathing diaphragmatically. And then inhale yourself back to center. And on your exhale, allow both knees to drop to the left. Now, each side might be a little different. So if your right shoulder won't stay down, bring your right hand to your hip, waistline. Otherwise, it stays out and you can draw the gaze towards the right. Let's take one more round of breath from here. Bring your gaze center and bring those knees center. Give yourself a little hug. And then release your left foot down, hugging your right knee into your chest, flexing the foot. And if you have a strap or a tie to your robe or anything that you want to use to hook around your foot, you are welcome to go there. Now, if you don't have anything that's convenient to you, just interlace your hands behind the right thigh or just hold on to the leg. Entirely up to you. The shoulders relax. Now look up at your right foot. Flex the foot strongly so that you're not allowing your baby toe to roll towards the ceiling. So we're gently and energetically drawing that right baby toe towards the right shoulder. Just getting a nice stretch here along the back of the right thigh, the hamstring muscles. They can get really tight when we are very sedentary, that we tend to do when we're not feeling well. Now you might start to feel that your leg may start to shake or vibrate. And if that's the case, just back it up a little so there's not so much tension on those tight muscles. Now, if you're feeling pretty good and you want to extend your left leg straight out along the length of the mat, you can do so. Flex that foot as well. Up to you. Sometimes having that leg extended can bother the lower back, so just choose what works for you. Just a couple more rounds of breath here. I can now start to feel my legs just slightly vibrating here. And then bend that left knee again if it was straight, and cross your right ankle right above your left knee, like you're making almost a figure four position. Flex your right foot strongly so that that ankle stays in neutral. If the foot begins to round, the ankle starts to roll in, and that can affect that knee joint, so flex strongly. You're welcome to stay right here, and this may feel like enough of a stretch to begin with. But if you want, you can lift your left foot off the floor, thread your arms through, or once again, if you have a strap and you can't quite reach that leg, you can use the strap to hold the leg in. Entirely up to you. Now, if your head is at an awkward angle here in an effort to grab the leg, make sure that you fold a towel or put a little pillow or something under the head to elevate the head just a bit. Now, rock yourself about half an inch, very, very little, half an inch to the left of your spine.
And that will give you a little bit of intensify the stretch, the sensation in your outer right hip and deep in your right glute. So that deep glute muscle, buttocks muscle, is called the piriformis. And when we do a lot of sitting, it becomes tight. And when it becomes tight, it could potentially press onto the sciatic nerve. Continue to gently draw the left thigh in closer towards the torso as you encourage the right inner thigh to move away from the torso. Take one more round of breath. As you exhale, release that left foot back to the ground. Now we're going to roll onto our left side a little bit until we can plant that right foot on the floor. Reach the arms out. Now if you can roll that right arm open so that the right shoulder settles and we get a big stretch across the chest, the breast tissue, the shoulders, that's great. If it's hurting that right arm, just bring the right hand in towards the waistline. This gives us not only a twist, working the spine a bit, but you might feel that stretch on the outer right hip, and those are those tight hip stabilizing muscles. Take one more breath from here, and then return yourself back to center. Unhook that foot, and then just take a moment and extend both legs straight. Maybe shaking them out, just feeling. And then we're going to bend the knees, plant the feet, and switch to that second side. So we're going to draw that left knee into the chest, give it a hug, flexing the foot. And once again, either using your strap around the foot or holding onto the leg, maybe interlacing the hand behind that left thigh. Just take a moment to look up at your left foot. Make sure the foot is active and that that baby toe is energetically drawing down towards the left shoulder. Now, if on the first side it felt pretty good to extend that other leg, you're welcome to. Take that right leg straight, flex the foot. And then you just take a few rounds of breath here just to kind of play around with it. Where can I take this stretch that's accessible for me? I'm not pushing too much, but I am getting a stretch, a little bit of a challenge. If you're just coming off of an illness or an injury, whatever it might be, make sure that you're really gentle with yourself as you ease your way back into movement. Now take one more round of breath from here. If the leg is extended, slide that right leg in, and now cross left ankle right above the right knee. Make sure to keep that left foot flexed so that left ankle remains in neutral. You can stay here, maybe gently encouraging that inner left thigh to move away from the body as long as it's not hurting the knee. Otherwise, lift that right foot up. Use your strap or hands behind the right thigh. I flex both feet here. Adjust anything under my head if I need it. Now I'm going to rock 1/2 inch to the right of my spine. It's a very subtle movement, but it will intensify the stretch into the outer left thigh, hip, glute. This pose in Sanskrit is called Sukhi Randrasana. I think it's such a pretty name. Just keep breathing here. Now take one more round of breath from here. Release your right foot back down to the mat. We're going to slowly roll towards the right side and place that left foot down on the floor. Then begin to release that left arm open if it's available to do so, or bring it into the waistline, whatever feels best for you for that shoulder joint. And we just pause here in this nice little twist. working a little stretch into the outer left hip, those hip stabilizing muscles. Take one more round of breath here. And then slowly make your way back. Release that left foot out and then just kind of take the legs out, shake them out a little bit. Inhale, sweep those arms overhead, big long stretch. As you exhale, hug the knees in and rock yourself up to a seat. So we're going to make our way into that seat, whatever will work for you. And as we come into our seat here, take the legs out in front of you. Lean back a little, but watch you're not collapsing here. So shoulders down, we lengthen the spine, heel toe your feet a little bit wider. And then lift just the toes off the floor. So the arches of the feet are getting a lift and it's helping keep the ankles in neutral. And let's do a little windshield wiper. We can feel this internal and external rotation gets into the hips a bit, getting into those joints that might be really tight from being sedentary for the duration of whatever illness you may have had. Or maybe you're just practicing because you haven't been practicing for a while or you just want a gentle class. And then come back to center and let's come to our seat. Sitting up nice and tall, shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. Inhale, both arms up and overhead. And exhale, flow them back down. Inhale, palms up as we lift the arms, and exhale, palms down as we move back to the earth. One more time like this, breathing in and breathing out. Now this time, inhale the arms up and overhead. As you exhale, release that right hand down. Allow that left arm to cross. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, an easy twist. Belly draws in, the body just easily revolves around. Inhale here, sit a little taller. And on your exhale, just come out of the twist. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, left hand behind us, right arm crosses. Breathe in, sit taller in your seat, and exhale, move into a twist. Now inhale, sit a little taller. And as you exhale, slowly come back to center. Roll those shoulders a few times. Relax, and then just let the right ear drop towards the right shoulder. Try not to lift that right shoulder up to meet the ear. If you want to bring the left fingertips out to the side and kind of press away, a little extra action for that stretch. And then bring the left hand back in. Come back through center. Drop left ear to left shoulder. This may be plenty of a stretch, especially if you have any cervical spine issues or perhaps osteoporosis, osteopenia. If you want, reach the right fingertips out. Little stretch. Bring the right hand in. Bring the head back to center. Let the chin drop towards the notch at the base of the throat, but don't round into the upper back. Lift your gaze without letting the head drop all the way back over the neck. Let's do that 2 more times, gently dropping the chin and lifting the gaze. And 1 more time. Come back to neutral. Allow your chin to be parallel with the floor. Look to your right and look to your left. And come back to center, and let's come forward to tabletop position. So come to all fours, stacking hips over knees, stacking shoulders over wrists, and watch that you find neutral. So dropping the lower back, that big arch is not neutral. Rounding into the upper back is not neutral. Come to neutral. Draw your front ribs in and together. Draw your belly in like you're zipping up some snug low riding jeans. Let's do a couple cat-cows. Inhale, slowly arch the back, lift the heart and gaze forward. Exhale, tilt the tail down, start to round and look to your own navel. Do this a couple more times. Articulating the spine, warming up. Breathing in, expands the front body. Exhale moves us into ourselves and into the back body. One more time. Next inhale brings you back to neutral. Inhale your right arm straight out to the right. As you exhale, thread your right arm underneath the left arm. Settle on the shoulder and then release your temple down if you can. Maybe a block or blanket will work. Now watch your hips didn't shift to the left. They tend to want to do that. Press the hips towards neutral or center. If you feel like you want to, you can start to walk those left fingertips forward. Anchor the outer left hip back and get a little greater stretch through the side body. Take one more breath and thread the needle pose. And then slide the left hand back. Support yourself as you unwind. Inhale the left arm straight out to the left. As you exhale, thread it through as you release your left temple. Now make sure you press your right hip towards center and then walk those right fingertips forward. Anchor your right hip back, a little bit more stretch through the right side body. Take one more breath here. And then slide that right hand back. Support yourself as you make your way back to neutral. Now, walk your hands forward just slightly and then shift your weight forward so your shoulders come slightly forward of the wrist. Distribute the weight from the heels of the hands out through the fingertips and slowly release all the way down to your belly. Walk your inner thighs together and actively reach out through the toes. Then check in. Shoulders rolling up and back and elbows hugging in towards the body. Press your pubic bone down and that will give us length through our spine. Then inhale, curl up into cobra. Your cobra might be here. Watch the shoulders don't start to hunch up. Keep them relaxed. Or you might like a tall cobra, staying active through the feet. Exhale, float down. Again, pubic bone presses. We inhale, we curl up. And exhale, release down. One more time, inhale, curl up. And exhale, release down. Now move, I've got that knot right in my belly. Now sweep those hands back by the hips. Roll your inner thighs together again. Shoulders roll up to the ceiling and the pubic bone presses down towards the floor. If it feels accessible for you, lift your feet up, lift your hands up, and peel your heart up. Keep your gaze down, not looking forward. We don't want to compress the back of the neck. Breathe in here, and as you exhale, flow down, turn your head one direction. Find the breath. Walk your inner thighs together again. Gaze straight down. Press your pubic bone down, lengthen your spine, lift your feet up, hands up, peel your heart up. Locust pose, Shalavasana. Breathe in. Exhale, float down, turn your head the other way. And then slide your hands up to your chest. Lift up and come onto your forearms or elbows. Make sure your elbows are perpendicular with your shoulders, so directly underneath the shoulders. Shoulders slide away from the ears. This is referred to as Sphinx pose. Soften your ribs and belly. If this feels too much for your lower back, draw your lower belly in a little. Lift slightly away from the mat to engage. Otherwise, we're allowing a little bit of a back bend here. This can be really beneficial for those suffering from herniated or bulging lumbar discs. Now, isometrically, that means action without movement. Press your forearms and elbows down. Now try and pull them back towards your ribs without actually allowing them to move on the mat. Try to pull them back and simultaneously draw the center of your chest forward. And you'll probably feel a much greater stretch along the front lines of the body. Breathe here. And then slowly release down. Hands frame your chest. Press up to tabletop. And then slowly release the hips back towards the heels, child's pose. Now, if your knees don't allow this great a bend or flexion in the knees, you might notice that your bum is lifted a little higher. Don't get too concerned about that. If the tops of your or fronts of your ankles won't go flat on the mat like mine are, and they're really rounding up and there's a lot of space, I strongly encourage you to get some sort of towel. Roll it into a little like burrito shape and place in that space so that you're not putting undue tension on those ankles. Let's just take a couple more rounds of breath here. And now shift forward into tabletop. Curl your toes under. If you're not practicing downward facing dog today for whatever reason, then either just go into a child's pose or tabletop is fine. Otherwise, we're going to lift the hips and start to press back. So don't worry about the aesthetics at first. Keep the knees bent and keep pressing back. Distribute the weight in your hands all the way out to the fingertips. Long spine. Then slowly work towards straighter legs, if that's an option for you. Draw your front ribs in, low belly draws in. Figure out where your armpits are in relationship to the rest of your body, and try and roll your armpits in towards your face just a little, like you're sniffing your own armpits. If you chose not to take a shower bath today, that's all on you. And then begin to walk those feet forward to meet the hands. Uttanasana, our forward fold. If your hands don't meet the mat, then try bringing your hands up to a block if you have one, or up to your shins. Just make sure you're not hanging mid-air. Inhale, hands to the shins, straight arms, lift the heart. Exhale, flow back down. Inhale, lift the heart. Sweep the arms out and rise to stand. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart and release those hands down. Nice. You can stay, at the front of the mat. I'm going to walk my feet about outer hip. And by the way, this is an outer hip, all right? So about outer hips distance. And I want to get a really nice stretch along my side body and along these really important muscles called the quadratus lumborum muscles in the back. Inhale, both arms overhead. As you exhale, release that left hand down. Reach the right arm up a little higher. And then slowly move into a side bend or lateral flexion. Only go as far as it feels comfortable for you. Inhale up. And flow that hand down. Inhale the left arm up, reach it, and exhale, side bend over to the right. Inhale up, and exhale down. One more time on each side. Inhale that right arm up, exhale into a side bend. Inhale up, exhale. Last one, inhale that left arm up. Exhale, side bend. Inhale up. And exhale it down. Roll out those shoulders a little bit. And then just start to reach and reach. There's no real right or wrong. Just whatever feels comfortable for your body. We're just trying to get some movement in here, especially if you've spent a lot of time on the couch, in the recliner, in the bed, stretching. And then bring it down, and I'm going to walk my feet a little wider, and I'm putting a soft bend in my knees. Then take your right arm and just reach it across, and left arm reach across. So if you have any spinal issues going on right now, be gentle with yourself. Maybe don't reach as far as you can. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. One more time on each side. And come back to center. Walk those feet in. We're going to do a couple rounds of half sun salutation, or Ardha Surya Namaskar. Okay. If you have a lot of head congestion, head cold, when I had COVID, it was all up in my head so much. You might choose not to drop your head all the way down. Just gaze down and stop halfway. All right, so choose what's going to work best for you. Inhale, sweep the arms up towards sky. Exhale, fold forward to the earth. Inhale, hands to the shins, lift halfway up, and exhale, slide back down. Inhale, lift up, sweep the arms out and up, and rise. Exhale, gather that energy to your heart. Release the hands. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, gather that energy in. Last round. Inhale, up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Sweep the arms out, rise. Exhale, draw that energy to the heart. Release the hands down. We'll take it all the way back now. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold, make your way back to downward facing dog. If you're not doing down dog today, table or child's pose. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, release your knees to the mat, find table. Slide your right foot forward into a lunge. If you have a block, you're welcome to use the block for stability. If you don't have a block, the hands can remain on the floor or they can come up to your knee. Whatever works best for you. Now, I always let my students know in class, if your front heel and back knee are in close proximity to one another, you don't have much room to move or to stretch. Don't be afraid to move that back knee further back. Even if you're not ready to take advantage of a deeper lunge, you can still back off, but you have that space. You've given yourself that permission to have the space. Make sure that your ankle remains directly beneath the knee, that the knee's not coming over the top of the toes or ankle. Chest lifts. Now I'm in a deeper lunge because I'm able to. Right now, I'm hoping you're feeling some degree of stretch in that left groin, the front of the left thigh. That's your hip flexor muscles, the iliopsoas. Steady breath. Remember that your quality of breath has a direct correlation to your nervous system. So when you're breathing fully and evenly and smoothly, you trigger your parasympathetic response, and that's where we would ideally like to be. You start to hyperventilate, breathe fast, breathe shallow. You're triggering your sympathetic response, which is that fight or flight. We don't want that. Now go ahead and start to straighten your right leg. Roll your right toes up towards the floor. You can use a block under each hand or hands to the floor. Flex your right foot strongly, shoulders back and chest forward. We're trying to maintain length in our spine
as we get a really nice stretch through the back of that right leg. Steady breathing. Take one more round of breath here. And then slide that right foot back. Let's bring that left foot through for that second side. Choose where it's going to best suit you or serve you for your hands. Find your alignment, left ankle beneath left knee. Don't be afraid to move that right knee a little further back on your mat and give yourself permission to have a really nice stretch. Only drop the hips as low as it feels comfortable for you. I'm hoping you're feeling some stretch in the right groin, the front of the right thigh. Make sure that the chest lifts. Because of the location where the hip flexor or iliopsoas muscles attach in the back ribs, the 12th thoracic vertebra, if you start to round, you're actually shortening that muscle. So if we lift the chest and the ribs are expanded, it gives us more length, and that's the whole reason why we're doing this. These muscles become really tight and shortened when we spend a lot of time sitting. Now begin to straighten into your left leg. Roll your left toes up and keep that foot active. Shoulders relax back and the chest is being drawn forward. This is referred to as half splits or Ardha Hanuman. Take one more round of breath here. And then slide that foot back. Go ahead and make your way to a seat. Bring the soles of the feet together. This is cobbler pose, bound ankle pose, Baddha Konasana. Try to hold on to your ankles. When we grab onto our toes, although they feel like a really nice handle, what we do is tend to pull up on them. And once again, that supinates or that bends those ankles. So I'm going to hold on to my ankles instead. Sit up nice and tall. Now, if your knees are riding high because of just tight hips, if you have a couple cushions, if you have a couple folded blankets or blocks, you could slide them under the knees and give yourself a little more support here. Otherwise, we energetically try and press the inner thighs in the direction of the floor. Remember, don't get too attached to the aesthetics, what you think the pose should look like or what your pose does look like. Instead, just feel into what is feeling right for me at this time, today, in this practice. Now, some of you might be really open through the outer hips, and you can start to hinge forward if you like. You could draw the chin in towards the throat. Some of you could come all the way down as long as you're not having lumbar disc issues and it feels appropriate for you to do so. Steady breath here. Gently draw your lower belly from pubic bone to navel back towards the spine to give your lower back a little bit more support here in this forward fold. And then inhale, slowly make your way up, hands back. We already visited this pose. So shoulders back, chest lifts. Roll your toes, just the toes. That's not just your toes up. And then a little windshield wiper. So a little internal rotation to counter out that external rotation that we just did. Take the legs out, give them a little shake. Leave your right leg extended as that left foot draws in. And then lift up, sit taller in your seat. Bring that left hand back and don't forget the shoulder. Roll the shoulder back as well. Sit a little taller and then slowly begin to revolve your navel towards that left thigh. You're not really serving anything to try and twist your head all the way to look at that back wall. If anything, it could do some minor damage. So just allow your gaze to travel in the direction that your chest is going. And then slowly come out of it. Extend the left leg as we bring that right leg in. That right arm is going to come around and then roll the right shoulder back. So we stay very spacious across the collarbones and chest. Grab hold of that right leg. Now get taller in your seat. Slowly rotate your navel towards your right thigh. The gaze will just travel with the same direction the chest is going. And then slowly come out of it. Shake those legs out a little bit. Scoot forward if you need to on your mat. Control your descent down to your back again. Pause a moment. And then give yourself a hug for a job well done. Maybe you want to add that little rocking that we started practice with. And then release the feet down. And begin to extend the legs out into your final resting pose of Shavasana. Allow the eyes to close. Begin to systematically relax the muscles of the body. Relax the bones of the body. Relax the mind. Allow the body to breathe naturally for you. As you just sink into this state of repair, of nurturing, especially if you've been ill. Honor your body where it's at right now. Not where you hope that it will be again soon, but just where you're at now. When we've been ill, it takes a while for our system to return to that balance, that homeostasis, so we have to nurture ourselves. Gently moving back into moving those tight muscles. Stay here in Shavasana for as long as you need or want. I thank you for joining me today in this practice that we just gently begin to return from COVID or any illness. Or maybe we're just needing a gentle practice, nourishing ourselves. Thank you for sharing this time and this energy. Namaste.